Nevertheless, at the end of the debate, the citizens of Athens agree with Ďeodotus that they ought to rescind the earlier decision and not kill all the men. Perhaps kill the prisoners, of course, that stands to reason, but be sparing of the citizens of Mytilene. And so they changed their minds. But remember, hours have passed since the trireme has been sent across the Aegean northeast to the city. So Thucydides says, another trireme was at once sent off in haste for fear that the first might reach Lesbos in the interval, and the city be found destroyed, the first ship having about a day and a night's start. Wine and barley cakes were provided for the vessel by the Mytilenean ambassadors, and great promises made if they arrived in time, which caused the men to use such diligence upon the voyage that they took their meals of barley cakes kneaded with oil and wine as they rowed, and only slept by turns while the others were at the oar. Luckily, they met with no contrary wind, and the first ship making no haste upon so horrid an errand, while the second pressed on in the manner described, the first arrived so little before them that Paces, the general in charge of the garrison at Mytilene, had only just time to read the decree and to prepare to execute the sentence when the second trireme puts into port and prevented the massacre. The danger of Mytilene had indeed been great. So as Thucydides tells the story, this is a very tense moment. It's exciting. The first trireme was sailing with bad news, and so they are not making any haste at all. The men are rather gloomy about the fact that they're carrying a message which will result in the death of an entire city of people. But they've got a day and a night start. The second trireme is full of men rowing like crazy. In fact, they've been provided with food and wine and oil, so they don't have to stop. Now, most people wouldn't see the significance of this. The triremes were ships that are built for speed and maneuverability, but not for long sea voyages. The conditions, the rowing spaces and the benches and the conditions in general on the triremes were so cramped and so downright painful that the triremes would generally only stay at sea for 2 or 3 or maybe 4 hours at a time before they have to come back to shore. The men can stretch and relieve themselves and take food and water and so on, rest a while, and then go back to sea. It would be highly unusual for a trireme to do this, to sail across the Aegean in a straight sail that would take many, many hours without stopping to provision. It would be very painful. He says the rowers take turns rowing and they eat while they're going, but this is a very unusual situation for the use of the trireme ships. In fact, the Athenians, and this will figure in later events, the Athenians, because of the nature of the ship, which cannot carry large quantities of supplies, and is so cramped that men wouldn't want the ship to carry quantities of supplies, the Athenians built supply depots all along the coastline of the Mediterranean and elsewhere, along the coastline of the Aegean, but elsewhere in the Mediterranean, so that they would never be more than a couple hours sail from a supply stop. So the Athenian reliance on their navy and their great naval power resulted in them colonizing further than they might have otherwise. So there's supply depots all along the shore, but they don't stop at these in this event. One ship is taking its time, probably stopping at the supply depots as it slowly, sadly makes its way to Mytilene. The other ship is doing a very unusual thing, not stopping at all. So the men are probably in great pain by the time they get to Mytilene, which shows that they actually are eager to save the citizens there.